Sampabietia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Samupe, Jumpabietia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you pankuma, Chintu, Asam pankuma.
They are four women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experience and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real in common getting. In common BISS chain, the dead, as in Takrenu assume the dead, the real in common getting. Showing live this and every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Era One Radio on Facebook and on YouTube, Era One Radio and our Taibo channel. Kaise, so we see the real in common getting ya. What brabon tete, we nyan konkonsa, we the real in common getting.
Hello, good evening, Era One Radio listeners and viewers all over.
Light is now good, Linda. Very good.
You just interrupted me, Pastor Kron. All right, good evening, Era One Radio listeners and viewers. Don't mind Pastor Kron. We are back in the studios. Today is Thursday, April 16th, 2026. Tonight, we're coming your way with a new topic. I don't think we've discussed it before. We might have in a different way, but this is unique. Of course, it carries a different purpose. So we are looking at the crossing of the Jordan, how the Israelites crossed the Jordan, and what implications it has for us in our contemporary times. Whatever happened in the Bible is still happening in a different version, and it's still a living and a breathing entity. So tonight, we're going to look at Joshua chapter 3, or some people call it Joshua. I mean, the Americans call it Joshua, but those of us from the other side, we call it Joshua. Joshua chapter 3, verses 1 to 4, and then we'll deal with 13 and 17. But before we do that, let me welcome my honorable co-host. I will start with ladies first, but men before. Ladies first. Well, Dr. Linda Otu is in the house. Thank you very much. A few weeks ago, she decided to be an intern and stay behind the studios and just watch us. But tonight, her internship is over. We graduated her. So tonight, she's going to be holding a fruitful discussion with us. Of course, Pastor Akron, Reverend Neil Saban is also in the house. You know him already. I need not say too much about him. All right. Brethren and sisterin, you are all welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. Any updates that we need to, reminiscent on?
So far, so good.
So good. All right, Dr. Linda, any updates for us?
Yeah, it's been good.
Good. You said you're affiliated with Absu Action, but we don't know what kind of affiliation that is. You still haven't told me the affiliation. Anyway, well, we are looking at, this is, in case you forgot, this is the Divine Connection Show, a unit of the Era One broadcast. We are broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. So please share the link with your homies, your friends, family members, and even to the extent of inviting your enemies to also watch, because this is your theological platform. You will learn so much. These days, what is going on in the world is very bizarre. Some people call themselves Christians, but the fruit they exhibit is very ugly. I'm not here to judge. But you look, as human beings, we can also see things. We also see things. People manifest some fruit and you wonder, say, are these people really, really, really Christians? We are all trying to emulate Christ, but the things that come out is ugly. And so we on this platform, we are trying to unlearn all the junk and learn new things. That is why Divine Connection was born by God's grace. So we are going to learn. Pastor Akron will bamboozle us. Now I have Dr. Linda to support me, so he can't bully me. We are all going to learn and go from. All right. So we're going to look at Joshua chapter 3, verses 1 to 4. I'll read it so that at least you know what we are doing, and then you can roll along, and then we'll get into it. All right, so Joshua chapter 3, verse 1, this is how it goes. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host, and they commanded the people, saying, when ye see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priest, the Levites, bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. 4. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have not passed this way heretofore before. All right, let me go to the thing. Is it 14? And so, and it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, and as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overflowed all his banks and all banks all the time of the harvest. 16. That the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon an heap, very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zaretan, and those that came down toward the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. 17. And the priest that bare the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. And all the Israelites passed over on the dry ground until all the people were passed clean over the Jordan. All right, so this is what we're going to be dealing with tonight. All right, Dr. Linda, let me start with you. If your little child came to you and said, Mama, what is the subject of this scripture? What are they talking about? What would you tell them?
Okay,
Let me plead. Dr. Linda is not on the is not on the cross. I am.
She's part of the discussion. I'm just asking her, what cross are you? You the cross Jesus, but can you bear?
Okay.
I'll come to you, but at least I wanted to, give us a head.
She's not in the driver's seat. That's what I'm.
But I mean, even a plank step after collecting the money, they all go and share. So whether she's a mate or whatever, I'm just gleaning her mind. Hey, hello. All right, Dr. Linda, don't mind that much, but I just want to hear your voice. What?
Anyway, thank you very much. I think from the little I learned last week, I was well informed that this has to be one of the major movements of the Israelites, where they were crossing the Jordan to more or less the promised land. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Now, Nisa, what is the subject of these scriptures?
Well, I think Dr. Linda got it down pat. How God moved the Israelites to the promised land ultimately, and the events that happened as part of their move. So yes, the subject has to do with the movement, but the topic could be just more than the movement. And personally, I want to look at this text, especially verse 1 to 4, as containing enough material to paint a picture of what vision is like, what it means to have a vision and follow the vision, and the details of such a plan. So that's where I am going to dwell on tonight.
All right. Since you mentioned vision, which part of the text would you relate to the vision you're talking about?
Dr. Boison, this is what the verse 3 tells us. It says, the officers commanded the people, who at this point to be the host, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall remove from your place and go after it. When you see, that's vision. And the author uses the word when instead of if, which is to say, the Ark of the Covenant on this occasion will be borne or carried by priests who were Levites, or Levites who were priests. And it is only when you see that ark and you see it being carried by the priestly Levites or the Levitical priests, then you shall move from wherever you are located and follow the ark. That's very interesting, Dr. Boison, the way the author has couched the language. The first thing that flows out of this text, Dr. Boison, will go from all the way from verse 1 to really paint a scenario, a picture, in order to provide supporting evidence for the title or for my claim that this actually is a picture of vision. First, the Bible says Joshua rose early in the morning. Let's get the picture clear. It was Joshua who rose early in the morning, but it was the people who moved from Shittim.
And that phrase, and they removed from Shittim. What kind of language is that?
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes I don't even understand King James.
That's
And they
Bible
removed.
That means they moved from wherever they were, and where they were now was a place called Shittim, and they were moving towards Jericho. But between Shittim and Jericho was the river Jordan. So they were first going to move from Shittim to the banks of the river Jordan, a distance of at least 0.7 miles. And I would explain why at least 0.7 miles. Now, the Bible makes us to understand that wherever they came from, before they lodged at Shittim for 3 days, right? At least they came from somewhere. So let's trace their movement from Egypt. At this point, they had been in the wilderness for at least 39 years. They had come to a place and they had lodged there. We are not giving the name of the place. And then they came to this place called Shittim, and they lodged there for 3 days. It was on the third day that the Bible tells us in verse 2 that officers inspected the host, because it said went through the host. The details of language makes us to understand the word officers, then host. And then verse 3, commanded. These are military terms. Officers and hosts will give you a picture of order, hierarchy within the Israelite polity. You had the top hierarchy, the commanders, and then you have the infantry, the soldiers. And it was the officers in verse 3 who commanded. That's another language, a military language. And it simply means they gave out instructions that must be obeyed, which now paints a picture of the Israelites being seen or having a movement formation of an army. And therefore, we are going to use the details of this picture to really paint a powerful narrative. Now, the word shittim in verse 1 gives us the idea of something. First, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, which has to be seen by the children of Israel on this occasion before they could move. That Ark of the Covenant of the Lord was built using shittim wood. That's quality wood, hard timber. That piece of information gives us an idea that this place the Israelites had lodged for 3 days until now was a forest, because you get shittim wood from thick forest with tall trees. And so we get that picture that this location was probably a forested area, a wooded area. That is point number 1. Then point number 2, with respect to this place, was that they were commanded to first see before they move, before they go after. So there has to be seeing, there has to be carrying of the Ark of the Covenant by Levitical priests. And when these conditions are met, then whoever saw the ark, that it was borne or carried by Levitical priest, then he could move. He or she could move. And not only move, but move after the Ark of the Covenant, which means whoever moved was moving wherever the Ark of the Covenant was moving towards.
So, was there any significance
Yes.
as to why
Yes.
the ark had to be borne by Levitical priest?
This is one. First, when God asked for the construction of the Ark of the Covenant, this was 1 year after leaving Egypt. So, after the ark was constructed, God gave out some serious instructions and orders that the Ark of the Covenant, whenever the Israelites were moving, must be carried by Levites. Levites were one of the 12 groups or the 12 tribes. At this point, there were 13 tribes. So there were the Levites, one of the 13 tribes of Israel at this time. And God had instructed.
You said 13 tribes?
Yes, because at this point, the tribe of Joseph
had been split into two. Okay.
Had been split into two, Ephraim and Manasseh. So 13 tribes. Right? Now, Levites were one of the tribes, but God had explicitly instructed that they be separated unto the work of God by managing the tabernacle, by carrying the tabernacle which contained the Ark of the Covenant, even as the Israelites moved from one location to the other. So that was the task of the Levites. For 39 good years, anytime you saw the Ark of the Covenant, it was borne or carried by Levites. So now get the idea. 39 years, you've been seeing the same thing, constant. The ark, it was carried by Levites. Then on this occasion, you are instructed that, okay, you must again see the ark, but this time there is a little detail. That detail is that the ark must be carried by Levites who were also priests. So that little detail makes a lot of difference. Dr. Boison, when we are dealing with God, it requires our utmost attention, and not only attention to detail. The requirement was that the ark must be borne, one, or carried, one. Two, it must be carried by Levites who were also priests, which means on this occasion you have to put and set aside your 39 years of familiarity with the carrying of the ark of the covenant. So on this occasion was not like every other occasion. It was different. So Dr. Boison now juxtapose this new requirement with 39 years of ingrained experience. Are you getting me? And the likelihood of people thinking same scenario, same situation, same story, that likelihood was high. And the Bible said, when, not if. When you see it, then you must move. So the little detail now tells us that God was requiring a certain level of attention and alertness. There were only 4 occasions in the life of the Israelites that the ark was carried by priests. This was the first occasion. After 39 years of this ark being carried by ordinary Levites, today, on this occasion, it must be carried by priests, which means those who had to carry it were not only Levites by pedigree or birth, they must have also undergone some serious training to become priests, which means they must have been instructed additionally in the things that pertain to God above the knowledge requirements of an ordinary Levitical, than an ordinary Levite. So, what is the takeaway here? Pay attention to detail. Don't assume you are familiar with the situation, therefore, everything you know about the situation will necessarily apply. Are we getting the picture clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me pause
This
here and
was
ask
the
if.
first occasion. Yeah, go on, Dr.
Yeah, I was
Linda.
going to say pause a little bit and let me find out whether Dr. Linda has any question or comments to add.
It's becoming interesting, Doc. Thank you very much.
See, you are sucking that for.
Yes, I'm actually thinking, and at this point, um, maybe Reverend can really help with that. I'm thinking about what is happening in our world now, where sometimes you go to a church and it's like, this is my duty. People are holding certain position, and by all means, because in the case of this particular narrative, we are seeing that in this particular instance, God would want the priest to perform this particular activity that have all these years been performed by the general Levites. So, it, how are we going to relate to the current happenings where a prayer warrior or a particular lead worshiper will think that this is my role, and no matter what the directives from the head pastor or what, this is what I'm supposed to do? How do we relate to that, and how would you advise us to behave?
Okay, I will even move it from just the church scene to the world scene, right?
Okay.
There is a saying that measure twice and cut once. That's what the saying in carpentry. Measure twice and cut once.
Because once you cut, you can't
Don't
uncut.
rely on your experience as a carpenter. Whenever you are given a carpentry work, pay attention to the details.
Okay.
Here we live in this life where experience has taught us to recognize, identify, and follow patterns. And then an occasion comes when there is a little detail. There is a little detail. Let me give you a scenario. I remember when we were growing up around the Jamestown area. There was a park called Miami Park, and we used to play there. And that stretch of road was not that busy after 9 a.m. Before 9 a.m., cars coming from the Choco area, Dansoman area, will literally flood that street. So heavy traffic. But after 9 a.m., traffic was literally non-existent. And so that is when we played our soccer matches. And if you knew the place, the ball could actually cross the street at any point in time. And if the ball crossed the street, all you did was to run across the street and go and pick it. And then our friend, may his soul rest in peace, on this occasion thought it was one of those days. The ball crossed the street. He didn't look left or right.
Went after the
and
ball.
ran across, and we buried him.
Oh,
You know,
very. Oh,
he was knocked down by a car and died on the spot.
oh, Lord.
What do I mean? If he had paid attention and had not relied on his experience of that time of the day, traffic not, he would be alive by now, and he was a damn smart guy. So I believe he could be the president of Ghana, he could be a medical doctor, he could be anything. But on this occasion, he assumed it was like any other day.
So he failed to measure twice before cutting.
Yes. So this is what the Bible is trying to tell us. If you are embarking on a monumental project, or you are embarking on a mission with serious significance, don't assume you are familiar with the processes and the procedures involved. Make sure you read the fine details. And God was very clear. And Dr. Boison, why it is important for us to get this fact. That is why verse 2 and 3 paint a certain picture for us, that Israel was now seen as an army, and with the army, order and discipline.
That's true.
Are you getting the picture clear? Discipline, which is to say, for you to accomplish something with vision leading you, you must also cultivate discipline to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. Don't assume anything. The question is, why was God doing this? Because he was preparing a people to be able to recognize when little details can make all the difference. Are we getting the picture clear?
All right.
The language used there simply means the host there does not mean that if you don't see as an individual, but your neighbor saw, then you were going to depend on your neighbor and go, even if you didn't see. No, you as an individual must see. Are you getting the picture clear? Because at this point, I want you to look at the word host, not hosts. The officers commanded the host to pay attention to these details. That's why they didn't even use if, they used when, right? When you see God is going to move, whether you like it or not, God is going to move. Pay attention to God's movement. And these are the things you must observe when God is involved in the equation. Check the fine details.
On that note, let's take a quick jingle, and when we come back, we'll look at the season of the movement. Stay tuned, don't go away, and we'll come back in a minute.
Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Samupe, baby tia Timothy die non koto era one radio oh anyum pankuma asam pankuma era tonkuma era one yebo nyum pankuma.
Hello, beloved, in case tonight we are discussing the journey that the Israelites of the Jordan River and has entered Jericho on their way to the Promised Land. Well, before that, Pastor Akron was wowing us with the host. I want to ask this question. I think he already said something about timing. Timing was very important, and he gave an example about his friend when they were playing soccer in the Bukum areas. They were used to not having traffic after 9 a.m. thereabouts, and so most of the kids assumed that after 9 there were no vehicular traffic, so they could turn the street into Accra Sports Stadium and play their ball and without even looking. But on one occasion, this young boy who had been used to or was familiar with the situation that after 9, no cars just crossed without even looking at left or right and lost his life. Timing is of the essence. Now, Pastor Kron, can you please take us through the season? I'm sure you might have mentioned a bit of it. The season of this narrative. I know they came from a wooden area called Shittim. How important is the season of their movement?
Okay, Dr. Boison, the straight answer is this was the rainy season. And we can get it from verse 15. And it says, and as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overfloweth all its banks all the time of harvest. Very interesting detail. A river would normally overflow its banks, and simply means the volume of water in its space increases. That's what it means, that it has overflown its banks. And normally it will happen when excess rainfall takes place, or for some reason in our contemporary world where, let's say, a tsunami occurs, or a large volume of water is released from a dam onto another a river body. That's when it would overflow its banks. So here we know, for strategic reasons, and it's one of the strategies we will see from this text, why God would choose to move his people to their first port of call in the Promised Land in the rainy season. Very interesting. Because when it is raining, everybody stays at home, true or false?
Mm-hmm. True.
Especially crossing the river. It's something you won't do, right? So why would God choose the raining season, or when it was raining, to make his move? And that is an art of strategy, way brilliant than any person can think of. Yes, God had the ability to do anything. He could have caused all the people of Jericho or Israel's enemies to sleep, and Israel will pass. Why did he choose the rainy season? Also, why did God choose that path or that route when there were other places where they could have walked on dry ground, why did God choose over 1 million people to cross a river like the Jordan, 300 yards in width, over 700 miles in length? Why? How many boats will be needed? In fact, how many ships in our contemporary world will be needed to ferry such a crowd? Are we getting the picture clear? So there is this question of logistics and why God would choose this season that would demand such logistics. That's another story for another time. But Dr. Boison, let's paddle back and then let's see what's up, because we are going to build this in stages, right? And present it for us to understand how God actually, or how the Bible helps us to develop compelling visions for our lives, right? So we've made the point that where they were shifting necessarily based on the details of language, that that place was a wooded area just because of the name shifting. Now, additional detail. Now they had to move. Not only did they have to move, but they had to move with certain cues and clues. They had to see. And they did not only have to see, they have to see the Ark of the Covenant. So, Dr. Boison, I want to do something. How many actions are involved in this particular scenario? First, the people have to see. 1. 2, the Ark of the Covenant has to be carried. 3, the people have to move from wherever they are. 4, they have to follow the ark and not the priest. Let me repeat it. The Bible said they were to follow or go after the Ark of the Covenant, not the priests. It was the priests who were carrying, so you would think that people will follow them. But no, the people were to follow the Ark of the Covenant, which is to say that it is God who is going to dictate the pace or whatever to the priest. And the priests were going to act based on what God did. Very important distinction. Are we getting the point? They were not to go after the priest, they were to go after the ark. It bears repeating. When God speaks, we have to fine tune our ears and identify the details with extra care. Because when you are dealing with God, He is a straightforward person, but He speaks in a lot of mysteries and codes. So one has to spend some extra minutes or seconds or hours to understand the details, tease out or extract the details as God will want us to do. This is what we call diligence, due diligence. And because He says you must follow the ark, not follow the priest. It is God who is moving. You may think you are seeing humans, but God is acting through the humans. So see God and not the humans involved. Are we getting? And then another detail.
Doc Linda, if you have a question, please pop it up, please.
Yeah. At least let me pause. If you have any question, Doc,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, Reverend, flow for me. I'm soaking it.
You are soaking it. I hope you have sugar and katia to make the gari soaking. Very good.
You see, Dr. Boison, in verse 4,
Yes, that was what I was going to
again,
come to, because I think verse 4 is either it's an antagonistic statement or something, because if I read it, says, yes, there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000
yeah.
cubits by measure. Now this is what kicks me. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have
Mhm,
not passed this way there heretofore or before.
mhm.
That statement is just full of confusion.
Contradictions, right?
I am
Yes.
a
Yeah. But Dr. Boison, that's why I've spent some time hammering the point that we are dealing with God. So pay attention to the details. Not only must you see the Ark of the Covenant, which is God, but when you do, make sure that it is carried by priests who also are Levites, not just Levites. Your 39 years of experience must be set aside. Look again.
So, Pastor Kwan, let me just interject quickly before you go. The Levitical priesthood being the ones authorized to carry, was it due to
Mhm.
experience or it was due to piety that God wanted the
For now,
highest?
the until now, any Levite could carry. You're getting me? Any Levite could carry the ark. This was the first time God was instructing them that the Levitical priests must be the ones to carry the ark. Now, don't forget, the person still has to be a Levite, but must have extra credentials. That is, they must be more than the average person instructed in the specifics of God's ways. So this occasion was like no other previous occasions. And the takeaway is that, listen, when you invite God into your situation, certain things must come into play. Now you are going to train your ears to hear when God speaks. You are going to train your eyes to see when God acts. It is no longer same old, same old. And especially if we take the context of this occasion, that they had been traveling for 39, actually 40 good years. And now they had come to the point, what we will call the plateau of the moment, the very pinnacle. You've reached the point. From there on, you are just coasting, you are cruising, right? Pay attention. Don't assume anything. Let your familiarity go and be ready for some new experiences. So, the idea is this: we know from human experience that you want to be as close to God as possible, because that's what you and I have been taught in church. Walk closely with God. Close proximity is what ensures success and victory. So keep close to God. And here on this occasion, God is saying, keep your distance. That's the first thing. Dr. Boison, add this piece to the fact that where they were located was a wooded area. What is the number one distraction in the number one thing in a wooded area? You have branches, tree limbs, all kinds of things actually competing with your vision. In fact, I checked and it said in a plain place, the human eye can see up to 3 miles ahead or more. But in an average bush, visibility reduces to less than 300 feet. Here, this was a thick forest, number one. They were to keep a distance of 3,000 feet, right? 10 times the visibility in an average bush. And the Bible said, keep your distance. And Dr. Boison, I feel you. Because, and then God says, because you have not been this way before, you have not passed this way. Yes, God, I have not passed this way before. That's why I want to keep close. And you are telling me
not to.
Don't keep close. Don't come close. And this is in a wooded area. So let's now make it clear. What's the takeaway in our real world? This wooded area, Shittim, will represent the world with its distractions. When you have a vision and a mission to accomplish something, and you build your vision to focus on that thing, mind you, the reason you are focusing is because there are other things that can literally compete with your focus. And for some of us who are pastors, and some of us who are professors and what have you, let's say all of a sudden, Professor Linda hears that mathematicians are making 5 times the salary she makes. And then she realized, but I'm also a good mathematician. I can do mathematics. But God has called you to be a computer scientist. That's where He says you are going to make your name. But hey, this colleague, I'm even a better mathematician than him, and he's making 10 times what I make. Computer science. Get out of the way. And you go and apply to be a mathematician. You may get the job, but you may not get God's approval.
You go nash. You go nash there.
Are we getting the picture clear? For those of us who are pastors, I know I've been called to be a teacher. Teachers, we may not have mega churches.
Like the prophets, huh?
Are you getting me? A teacher like me, you may be called to teach the teachers of the pastors of the mega churches. But you yourself are not going to have a mega church. If you don't realize what your calling is about, then maybe from time to time you may walk in the prophetic, and because all of a sudden you hear Johnny J walking in his calling as a prophet and commanding crowds, and therefore the dollars flowing and the accolades and what have you, you forget that your calling is that of a teacher. And then the next thing, you are prophesying.
You're adding predictions. You're adding predictions. NDC will win, MPP will win.
That is the thick forest here. Instead of focusing on the ark of the covenant, because you are following it, a branch, a leaf, a sudden noise, all may cause you to turn your eyes. And don't forget, the requirement was don't come close. And if you don't come close, and it says you must maintain a distance of 3,000, and it is in a thickly forested area, it means that if you take your eyes off the prize, you may fall behind the 3,000 feet requirement. And that means you are not going to see the ark. It is already a difficult thing seeing the ark in the location you find yourself, which means your calling or your mission is such that you must depend on God with such serious focus that when God brings, you see it and you act accordingly.
Pastor Kwan, I do understand exactly what you're saying, but my issue here is that now in our contemporary times, because Jesus came to die for us, the Bible tells us the Holy Spirit now lives in us and not outside us. But in their perspective, what actually made them feel the presence of God was the ark. So the ark represented God, and God is saying, "Don't come closer." Meanwhile, it is this God or this ark they are following. If I can't see the ark, if I can't see God, then how do I do the following? I mean, it still beats my mind a little. I know you explained a little bit, but it's still...
that is precisely the point we are trying to extract here. That God, you've chosen this location with its distractions. I remember when we were growing up, there was a book called The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born.
They are still not born. Yeah, we are still waiting for
Yeah.
them.
And then we had a professor, we had a teacher, a very interesting teacher. He said, "Oh God, you and your ways. The girls we already have are beautiful.
You are saying
And you've given us eyes to see. But your command also says, we can see, but we must not look.
Don't touch."
And even if we see, we must not follow. Right? And even if we see and we follow you, we must not create pictures, images. God, what are you? I mean, have you set us up to fail? But that is what we are trying to. God is saying, the circumstances I have placed you in is so demanding because of the calling upon your life, because of the impact you are going to have. I need you to cultivate that spirit of utmost focus and discipline, to always depend on me. That means you are not going to use your experience. Your experience on this occasion is immaterial. Because your experience would have taught you that a closer walk with God is what gets the deal. Right? But your experience on this occasion is irrelevant. God says, you need to hear my voice. You are used to seeing me act this way. But this is a new day. I am calling you into something special. And therefore, listen to my command. If I stop, you stop. And that is it means that you, the individual with that sort of vision, not only must cultivate discipline, but you must also create or develop a pace determined by God. Why? Because God says, keep a certain distance. And it is God who is going to determine how far you go, how fast you go, and where you stop or you don't stop. Because one, keep the 0.6 of a mile distance. Two, see me moving before you move. So if I am not moving, you are not moving. Because if I'm not moving and you move, you will beat the requirement to keep a 0.6 of a mile distance. Are we getting the picture there? And when I'm moving and you are not moving, you may fall short of the 0.6 distance. All this depend on you seeing what God is doing, whether he has stopped or he is moving, which means your eyes must be on him. And the distractions around you must not actually distract you. You can hear all the noises, you can hear all the newses, you can hear whatever, but your focus is on God.
And this is where the disciples will ask Jesus, Lord, give us more faith.
Yeah, when we are asking for more faith, because you see, this is very important. And he said, you have not passed this way before. For me, that's what. Yes, God, that is true. I have not passed here before, and that's why I want to be close to you. And you are saying, don't be close, which is to say, now develop what? Discipline, develop pace, but above all, obedience. Are we getting the picture? Above all,
Yeah.
obedience. Obedience. The God will determine the pace because when he stops, you stop. When he's walking or moving, you are moving. Are you getting me? But you must always see God because he will clear the way before you get there. Obedience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Linda, what is your takeaway? I'm blown away. What is your takeaway?
I'm equally blown away.
No, I
So,
am more blown away than you. So you tell us how blown away you are.
well, I'm well informed that whatever the issue is, in these challenging times of our individual lives, we still need to just obey God and trust God to lead us the way. Yeah.
For there is no other way
Jesus.
but to trust and obey. Oh well, that is very exciting. I'm still bamboozled by that 2,000 cubits measurement of staying behind. And I believe, uh, fast forward, God realized that, you know what, this distance, I cannot keep this distance from my children, so I have to bridge that gap. And years later, I'm sure he and Jesus and the Holy Ghost, the three of them had a meeting and said, Jesus, you have to go and bridge the gap. So now we don't keep any 2,000 cubits measurement from God. He's already in us. We don't have to go far. We don't even have to go and consult a prophet or a pastor to tell us what our future will be. He's already in us. We just have to make sure we are not being distracted by the word distraction. We have to set our goal, our focus on Jesus. If He is our goal, then all things are possible. We don't have to be distracted by what is going on. There's so much noise in the world already. And me, for instance, now, I'm even now wondering, when they call somebody a Christian, what does that even mean? Because there are people in this world who are calling people Pharisees, but I'm sure, who knows, they themselves might be Pharisees. So now I'm confused. Who are the Pharisees and the Sadducees? It's a confusion. Pharisees calling people Pharisees, and it's a whole lot of stuff, and it's a ball of confusion. We need God. I don't know whether we are keeping the 2,000 cubic distance again, or we are relying on Jesus Christ to lead us. Well, Dr. Linda, any closing remarks before we depart? Don't say you don't have any. You have something.
Oh,
I know your kinky is waiting for you, but at least say something.
oh, can you imagine? It's late already. Anyway, I want to say a big thank you to Reverend for those insightful teachings this evening. I'm well informed, and I'm going to change my ways of how I relate to God this time around.
Yeah, we're getting some echoes in your this thing. I don't know what is going on. Some echoes. Pastor, how can you hear her very well?
No, I think breaks.
Yeah, I think there are some breaks, but anyway, maybe we'll fix it next week. Yeah. But
Yeah,
go
yeah, I
again.
think-
You came back well now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, better.
So as I was saying, myself, I've also learned to change my ways as to how I relate to God this time around. I want to really hear Him and not follow what others people are telling me before.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right. Our honorable presenter, do you have anything more to say? Or you've said everything?
I've presented everything. So.
Thank you very much. Well, I get the opportunity to wrap up. Well, listeners and viewers, I want to say thank you. On behalf of my studio manager, Dr. Setutu, and the One team, I want to thank my co-host, Dr. Linda, Reverend Miss Sabah Akron. And I want to thank myself too for being available and hosting. I count it a joy and a privilege to sit among these honorable, learned people. We have the AI guru herself here, Dr. Linda, and we have Pastor Akron, the historian, IT, poet, whatever you want to call him, lawyer who wears so many hats. I don't know which one he prefers wearing better, but whatever it is, he wears them. And so we thank God that tonight we've also had a very good, fruitful discussion. To me, as I said, the verse 4 really kicks me, where God says, don't come too close, stay there. But after years, as I said, God said, you know what, that distance is not helping humanity. I have to close the gap. No, so now He's closing. When Jesus stretched His hand on Golgotha, Calvary, and said, it is finished, it was indeed finished. The gap was closed. Now, we don't have to maintain any 2,000 cubits of measure before God. We can fire straight away to God, vertically pray in the name of Jesus, and the Lord will hear you. You don't have to go to any mediator. You don't have to be distracted by anything. If you have a direct relationship with Jesus Christ, your life is going to be sweet. No matter the noises around that, the distraction, all shall be well. Well, on that note, we'll bring our discussion to a close. We'll meet again, God willing, on Tuesday, even as Dr. Linda comes again to give us more apport on AI. And then Tuesday, the script will flip. Tuesday, Dr. Linda takes the host, and me and Pastor Kwan and myself will sit and watch her day. And then on Thursday, Pastor Kwan will also hold the wheels, and the two of us will sit there and watch him day. So what is my role? My role is to bring them together. That is my job. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, and God willing, we'll meet again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
God bless.
Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Samupe jumpe bietia. Chimafidi non kotu era one radio. Oh, ayum panchima. Chimtu asam panchima. Chimtu agratum chima.
It's not your typical green tea. The Fumigio Herbal Tea by Glucose International is a nutritious drink and a natural blood glucose reducer. Gymnema plant, the active ingredients in the Fumigio Herbal Tea, suppresses the absorption of carbohydrates ingested from your diet. The green tea content in the Fumigio Herbal Tea promotes rejuvenation of dead cells, detoxification of your system, stimulates the pancreas to release insulin, and improves metabolism. Drinking 1 sachet of Fumigio Herbal Tea after meals prevents the rise in blood sugar levels, suppresses appetite, and improves bowel movement. Drinking Fumigio Herbal Tea regularly after meals can also prevent type 2 diabetes. We encourage you to drink Fumigio Herbal Tea 3 times in a day, coupled with mild exercises to maximize its benefits. Fumigio Herbal Tea has been approved by the FDA. Toxicity tests conducted by SGS, so it is safe and non-toxic. A product of Singapore. With Fumigio Herbal Tea, your peace of mind is guaranteed. Call a shop.
Samupe, Sampadia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Samupe, Jumpadia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you punctua, Asam punctua.